So the way we're gonna structure it is because we use a stage, is we're gonna be inviting different teams on the stage. Then the teams briefly introduce themselves. What are they studying, most of them, or where do they work, what have they studied, and then give a 3 to 4 minute presentation of the project they built during the past weekend. Now, if anyone from the audience has questions on the specific project, please just drop them on the chat, and we'll make sure one of us on stage will just pose the question to the team after they finish. So that's gonna be most of how it will go. And again, in the end, we're gonna do a general Q&A where you can come on stage and ask either like protocol related questions or whatever else you want to have answered. So with that, someone's tapping here.
And
But
also, if you filled out the grant application form, or you have an agent that you want to build on Taurus and potentially register to the network, and you are presenting, take 1 or 2 minutes to talk about that if you have stuff that you want to say about that.
yes, exactly. So with that, should we have Mills jump on stage first, because I know he has to catch a flight, and then we'll do that. We'll use the chat as a guide to ask people to come on stage. Yeah, maybe a very quick note before we invite the first team on stage, is that like essentially this past week we're at Eth Oxford. Maybe most people in the audience were actually participating in that. It was an event with over 400 hackers or something. We had about 100 of them submitted to build on our tracks. We were extremely positively surprised with the quality of the submissions. We were very, many people had ideas on building stuff outside what was requested from them, and that's why we've been trying to create the tools to enable all those people to build on the Taurus network, and that's the grant application form and some other tools that we devised kind of on the go during the hackathon. So with that, let's get started with having the first team, DebateFi, presenting their project. Mills, can you do we have to bring him on stage, or like?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you, yes.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, thank you again for is Rafe on the stage as well? Need to get Rafe up with us. Okay, Rafe Loveday. His Discord is just Rafe. I don't know whether he has to request.
Yeah, Rafe, if you request to come up, then we can
put your hand up with the yeah, nice. Anyway, assuming he's going to be up, yeah, nice. Thank you again for letting us go first. As I said, I'm waiting for my flight to be called right now, so I'm joining on mobile. It would have been a shame to miss it. So I pre-recorded a demo video yesterday, an updated demo video, which I've linked to Rafe. So hopefully he's going to be able to share his screen while I do the first bit of talking. And yeah, basically the plan is I'll kind of go over the project overview while we play the video and talk about what I did for the back end and such. And then Rafe will take the lead from there and talk more about what we did with the front end and what the plans are going forward in reference to the grant and such. So is it possible for him to share his screen?
Can you also share like what you give a little bit of personal background? Like
yeah, I will. Don't worry. That's
okay.
Next on my script. So I'll do that quickly. But is Rafe able to share his screen?
Share the screen now.
Yeah, if you just get it up and then I'll just start yapping. So firstly, want to say like it was really energizing to meet so many talented people, including all of you in the call last weekend, where everyone was obviously connected by a passion for blockchain and innovation. It's not something you get everywhere, so massive thank you to you guys at Taurus for the opportunity and the bounties, which were really fun. And yeah, it was a pleasure to meet those of you from the team who I did, because obviously the event wouldn't have been possible without you guys. So actually, sorry, Rafe, do you want to pause it? That's my bad, and then I'll run it back in a second.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, just so to introduce myself, so my name is Miles. I'm currently a MSc student at Imperial College London, studying fintech. So I previously got my undergrad degree in engineering from Bristol, worked in venture capital for a little bit, quant trading for a couple of years, and then got a scholarship to come to Imperial to do my MSc, which is, yeah, it's a great time so far, but very busy, trying to involve myself in as many projects as possible. I had the privilege of working with Rafe Loveday at the hackathon. So I met Rafe at the event through the Solana Super team, and he's an incredibly talented and hardworking guy. But I'll let him obviously do his introduction in a minute because he's presenting with me. So yeah, for the project itself, so the problem we identified through your brief was, I guess, the amount of time required to fish through the garbage on Twitter for relevant and current crypto news. So we believe this is what our product, DebateFi, solves in its preliminary form, and hopefully we can develop it further to solve that problem on an even higher level. I guess, Rafe, if you want to start playing it now, and I'll start giving an overview of the project. So yeah, in summary, DebateFi basically distills live crypto Twitter debates from influential users into clear data-driven insights by summarizing key and opposing arguments, detecting market events, quantifying the overall sentiment, and identifying influential voices, which empowers traders and analysts with actionable intelligence. So the crypto Twitter debate analyzer, which can be found live at debatefi.com, despite this demo video being through the local version, is, yeah, the product is an advanced data processing pipeline that fetches, analyzes, and summarizes high engagement debates in the cryptocurrency space every hour. So it extracts insights from Twitter discussions on input tickers, which is currently set to the top 100 or top trending tickers, measuring the bullish or bearish sentiment on a 0 to 100 scale, the influence and the relevance of each debate, amongst other things, while providing details on current developments to users. So the methodology for this, it's, as you can see in the demo video right now, I just set it to run for last night for the prior 6 hours. So the results that you can see on screen now should be, or I believe I'm not up to date with it because it's only small on my phone, but this should be the February the 15th stuff. But yeah, basically every hour it uses the Twitter API to fetch the latest tweets about the input tickers with parameters in place to ensure tweets meet minimum engagement language and legitimacy criteria, which we can elaborate on further later if necessary. So then there's filtering and data cleaning. So we have a function in place to filter out bots, posts at both the tweet and the reply stage. And for example, also tweets containing spammy keywords like free or giveaway are also removed because these are obviously more promotional posts than actual debates. Replies are also fetched for high engagement tweets. So all replies from accounts with over 100 followers are prioritized for select tweets, and tweets with no developed conversation and replies are removed. The system extracts likes, retweets, and timestamps for each reply and post, with all data stored for later sentiment analysis. All debates are summarized using the OpenAI API, which is something I've used before to create a product for a company I was at previously. Although I believe for this application, we'd actually be better off with a more advanced AI, which Rafe is going to talk about later. We just weren't able to use or experiment with Claude or DeepSeek during the hackathon for various reasons, but I think those would actually work better. But yeah, basically the vast data is pre-processed from the data frame into an interpretable format for the OpenAI API. So the system constructs a structured prompt for the OpenAI GPT-4 mini to analyze each debate. We were just using the mini for this because to save me money, basically, because I didn't know how much it would use, but we only used about 10 pence in testing, so we could have used the GPT-4 model. But yeah, so first it summarizes the debate narrative, which is a concise explanation of 20 words or less of what the debate's about. Then the debate importance, which is basically why this debate matters, the real world events and market trends underlying this. And then the argument breakdown, so 100 to 200 word summary of both sides of the argument. Then the sentiment analysis quantified with a 0 to 100 score, indicating bullish or bearish sentiment. Then engagement metrics, so like total likes, retweets, and replies in the thread. And then the tweet URL and timestamp in case the user wishes to read more and visit the tweet on X. So yeah, for the scoring algorithm, following considerations, for example, If most of the replies are negative, the score is low, 1 to 30. If there's no strong consensus, then it's more in a neutral range, 31 to 50. And if it's overwhelmingly supportive, we get a more bullish score, 71 to 100, for example. And then this is ultimately output to a JSON file every hour. So the structured AI generated summaries are converted to JSON format every hour for easy integration into the database and a front-end website. So now Rafe's just going to kind of go through the front-end stuff and future plans and what he did with the back-end output.
Okay, so hello, I'm Rafe. I've got my A levels in May, so I'm studying computing, economics, and DT still. Again, I'm looking just to get involved as many projects as I can to develop my skills. So meeting someone like Miles who had similar values was good to develop with. So the front end is quite basic because obviously this is more of we wanted to focus on it being a powerful tool. And as he mentioned before, we found we had issues sometimes. The AI would pull out data which was just completely different to what we've been getting good data from. So as you said, a stronger AI and a better API to actually pull the data from Twitter is needed. And our original plan was to have it so it was a reoccurring hourly cycle. So you would see, the average sentiment for each ticker over the past hour. However, with something like this, we made minimum requirements so that we could filter out some of the information which was not relevant. However, if the post is made close to the end of the hour, it's unlikely that a post is going to meet those requirements. So we were looking at making more of a better way to engagement on the post to determine whether it was relevant or not. So there was an idea of running the script, the back end script 4 times during the hour at 15-minute intervals. And for example, if a URL pulled is already in the JSON, then these tweets, likes, and the reposts, comments, and likes can be updated. There's as a website, there was other tools where I did add locally a search bar so you can search for different tickers. And if there's no existing ticker, the user can have an option to make a call for that ticker. So then you can do custom searches for any token. And we wanted to make it more, the user has more control over this tool. So for example, they could control the minimum likes, comments, and retweets that is required for that data to be pulled in. And we also wanted to be able to make a vault of the tweets. So tweets could be held up for a week. So you can have past data and things like if a debate is receiving loads of engagement, that can become a hot topic, for example, and it's pushed more than other debates that are brought back in. I think for improvements wise, that's kind of so far that's kind of it. There's obviously a UI upgrade. The UI is very basic, and if it was to be kept as a website, it would be something that would be improved. But I think that's kind of it for future plans as of now.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
mean,
total sense.
just to really quickly add on to that. So me and Rafe have basically been talking nonstop since last week, and we have loads of ideas that should, in theory, all be quite easy to implement given the code base that we've got. And on top of what he was saying about the UI, speaking to you guys, my understanding is that this will be more of a tool to kind of provide intelligence to agents, right? Or at least that's the idea. So my understanding is that a UI might not be the most important thing to develop, but we still think it would be cool. So that's something we'd still like to do. But yeah, basically making it as intelligent as possible is what we're trying to do. So
And maybe before we jump to the questions, do you want to give like a minute like sneak peek on what you plan to do, what you plan to build from now on? You touched like very briefly on it, but if you can give a minute description on what you plan to do. We will have a separate call, like maybe in a couple of weeks' time, and we'll invite everyone to attend, like that wants to build a bigger project on Taurus. But like, if you can give us a very brief overview.
I think ultimately making it a more reliable source, because obviously, as mentioned, it quite right now it's not the most accurate, and there are posts being missed. So that's kind of like, I don't know, but that's the main kind of thing that I see we need to work on.
I think, yeah, basically we want a tool. Well, we could shape it into anything, but a tool where you could search by ticker, and then it will be able to provide you with quantified sentiment or different metrics and really, really summarized information that can save people a lot of time and allow people to more efficiently make their own decisions regarding things. We're not trying to make some tool that gives people trading advice or anything like that, just something that can be used to inform people really quickly. Because yeah, I think anything that saves people time is valuable and can filter out the rubbish. So yeah, as you said, there's loads of things we can do to make that better in terms of using better AI. We've had quite a few issues with the API, which we've got kind of makeshift fixes to get around so far. But that's something we need to look into more, because I think the Twitter API doesn't work 100% as it should be. Also, we were looking at developing some kind of hot topics page as well in terms of the UI, so we could have a page of the most engaging or interesting. Yeah, perhaps that's based on engagement or some other metrics set by the AI. So like the top 5 things from that hour, so the most current information, so people can go to it as a source of the most up-to-date information. And yeah, but it was something that can be used to inform major agents built by other people, I guess, as well, as like a knowledge base, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so the reason that we place this bounty is that there's a lot of value in having a very generalized tool to query sort of the social landscape on X for swarms to quickly get a like very synthesized and compressed overview of a particular context or sort of ongoing conversation. So in the end, it's really about building an API. UI is cool, of course, but the API is sort of the core thing here. So that swarms can, for example, if it's a swarm around finance, can query a ticker, get everything that is relevant, all the information, maybe query a certain theme, maybe a current ongoing discussion, get very summarized, condensed information. So really something that just makes it possible for swarms to very quickly sift through the noise on a particular thing on X. And that's, of course, useful for like all kinds of agents and swarms. So that goes for like most of these tools. They are like foundational, quite generalized, and are supposed to evolve into these modules that make it a lot easier for swarms to be built on the network, where they sort of have a lot of these things pre-solved for them. So I think you are definitely on the right track with it.
Thank you. I'll just say one more thing then. I guess listening to what you said, I think that's probably the easiest direction to take it in, given a few things. Like number one, right now it probably takes about 5 minutes every hour, or 10 minutes even sometimes, for it to get all the information if we're trying to pull in everything for 100 tickers every hour. But if we were to set it to one input ticker, which would probably take me 30 seconds to change, we'd be able to pull that information really, really fast. And then, as I think I discussed with one of you, the API is set to kind of like a 19 request limit per search or something. So we've already got everything set up to just paginate through really fast all of the information for one ticker, and that would make like the calls and everything really, really quick. So I think that would probably be the best use case for what we've got already. So that's an exciting direction for me.
Yes, so you guys
Excellent.
use the API, the Twitter scraping agent that is currently already registered. Like anybody on the network can use it. But it still has some limitations, but I know the guy that is behind it, he's working on removing them, which I guess should be pretty soon. So
Okay,
that
amazing.
19 limit and so on is probably going to be gone soon.
Okay, amazing.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So let's keep any other questions maybe for the last section of Q&A, because we went like significantly over our over our scheduled time, and maybe let's have now the guys from ZK Memory Organ on stage. So it's Manu, Sagar, like I see Manu there, UP, or however you pronounce that. I don't know the other guys. Like it's confusing to associate Discord handles. Yeah, that's you right
Hello,
there. Hey.
Yeah. It's Subhashini and #007 Saga. You can invite them
Right.
also.
Apologies for running over, guys. Thank you for having us. So I'll jump off now.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. That was great.
Yep, thanks.
And have a good flight.
Yep, good flight, sir.
Okay. Should we begin it?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Go
Great.
ahead.
We are from ZK Memory Organs. So we're a team of 3. It's myself, Manu, Subhashini, and Sagar. We have just graduated from a master's in advanced computer science from University of Sheffield. And yeah, currently we've been exploring Web3 for almost about 1 year. And this team was formed back in 2024, Eth Oxford itself. And then we continued the same team. So we've been attending multiple ETH hackathons and exploring different projects. Yeah, so that's a bit about ourselves. And yeah, let me share my screen and start with the demo. Just a second. Yeah. My Discord is hanging. You guys. My Discord is hanging.
Does anyone else on the
If you
team
can,
have the presentation?
or if you can't share, just give us just walk us through it, right? Just
Just a
describe
second.
what you've built. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me. I don't know, my Discord just hanged.
I've got your guys' submission video if you want me to present that, if that's what you were going to present.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. One sec.
Let me see if I can. Can I share my screen?
Sorry, is this on the YouTube video?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Do you want me to unmute it and you can Just tell me when to pause it.
Okay.
Gabe, you're currently streaming the Discord.
How do I? Shit,
You should be able to change the window selection.
my bad. It's because I'm recording it as well, so my computer's having a hissy fit. Change windows. Apologies, I don't think it's working. I can send the link though to someone else.
I think it's fine. Let's just mute. Okay, so I think it's fine. We can just guys give us a a 3 to 5 minute overview of what you've. It's something seems like it's going through, not yet.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet, but it's coming through.
I can see someone's screen. Seek a memory organ.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe sometimes it doesn't come through to everyone depending on geographic location for some reason. But we're
Okay.
recording this anyway, so anyone who wants to see the slides later will be able to see them.
Excellent. So
Yep.
guys, go ahead.
Okay. Is the screen changing, or is it just static?
It's changing fine.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So let me explain what we have built. We have built a memory organ using zero knowledge proof. To just have a glimpse on the architecture level, like we have a client which is built in React, and we have a server built in Node.js. So we'll begin with how authentication is done. So what we are trying to do here is we wanted to implement zero knowledge because we didn't want it to give away the sensitive information to the server. So what we do is we are also using the concept of decentralized identity because when you're storing the data, we need a particular ID to fetch it back. So in the client side, when a proof is generated, and the way proof is generated is through assigning a message and using the wallet user's wallet ID. So those two are used to generate the proof and decentralized identity. Once clients generates the proof, it sends to the server, and server validates the proof. And if the proof is valid, then the authentication is done, and user can store the data. So this process is implemented through ZK Snark using Circom. That is how authentication is done. And yeah, so we also added a load balancer. So if you have like a multiple server, like if you have implemented a horizontal scaling for the server, and then we want to decide on load balancing, so we have implemented load balancing for that. And coming to how server is implemented, so within server, we once the data comes from an authenticated user, we are using OrbitDB to store the data in IPFS. Why we are using OrbitDB is because we wanted to handle a complex relational schema data, and then also have a conflicts free data write and merge. What this means is, like, if you have multiple servers writing into IPFS at the same time, so this OrbitDB makes sure that there is no conflict of data writing. Once the data has been written by OrbitDB, we are storing it in local storage using Postgres. And the way it is stored is using LRU. So we wanted to make sure that whichever is the frequently used data or requested data is given to the user. So this is the mechanism that we have done in server side. And coming to IPFS, so we initially wanted to achieve this in a public IPFS, had a load balancing in a public IPFS. But due to time constraint, we couldn't. So we opted with the IPFS cluster. So IPFS cluster automatically balances the load and makes sure that the data is replicated in all the nodes, and there's no single point of failure. But this comes with a disadvantage. It makes the IPFS cluster private. But we wanted to solve the issue of experience. So, like, the moment you make it as a private cluster, it gets difficult to add a node. So we have created a script which will allow any node to register into the IPFS cluster very easily. So this is what we achieved in ETH Oxford hackathon. To demonstrate, say for example, here I have a one of the node which is 18.130.48.44. This is the Bootstrap IPFS node. So what I mean by Bootstrap IPFS, this is like the first node that is there in the IPFS cluster. So if you see here, when I do IPFS cluster ID, there are no peers attached to it. Next, we have a script. Here we need a cluster secret, that is the entire clusters. There is a secret shared, and there's a Bootstrap peer ID. So if you have these two data, any node can be registered into the IPFS cluster just by running the command. So the moment you run this command, what happens is it launches IPFS node, it launches IPFS clusters, configures the secret, and registers into the IPFS cluster. So now when you go back to the Bootstrap and try to run the same command, you can see that one peer is added. So this way we make sure that the disadvantage of not like you're completely eradicating it, but it's just that increasing the user experience. So once this is done, so a node is registered into the IPFS cluster. So let me show the demo. So this is how our front end looks. It's a very simple front end. So here you write the data that you want to store. We have also supporting file upload. And the moment you click on store securely, you are asked to sign a message. So this message is signed and the signature is used to create the proof and the decentralized identity. And that proof is sent to the server. Now server validates the proof as I told, and once the validation is successful, the data is stored. Now to even fetch the data, we have to prove it. So this we implemented to demonstrate how decentralized identity works. So since the data is being stored by this particular wallet, now when you are trying to fetch also, we are trying to again create a proof with a decentralized identity, but the DID will be the same DID that was previously generated. So now when you try to fetch it, the data has been fetched. Okay. So next is we demonstrated in the video, you can also see the demonstration of shutting down one of the IPFS, but also the entire memory organs is still working. So no single point of failure is handled. And we have also handled relational schema. So OrbitDB gives us the ability called stores, in which you can create different stores, and stores here represents table. So here we have just a second. Yeah, so we have a user store which has user IDs, which is nothing but decentralized identities stored. And we also have doc store, which contains the user ID with the data that you're trying to put into memory organ. So this way, in the user store, ID becomes a primary key, and in doc store, ID becomes a foreign key. So this way, relational schema is also being handled in memory organ. So this is what we have achieved, but the one of the thing that we are trying to concentrate is doing it with public IPFS. So, and also like if there is a large amount of data, like for example, one of the use case that we were trying to implement during ETH Oxford was to store a large vector embedding into the memory organ. But for that, yeah, we need to have a proper load balancing and stuff like that. So that is something that we are concentrating in future. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Is there any burning question? Or should we thank you very much, guys. That was great. And
Thank you.
And you were the winners of the of one of our most difficult bounties, right? So and so
Thank you.
congrats, that was a fantastic job. So should we I'll skip the normal order because because Chao has to run. So if we can if we can invite the STBB team that built again on the Discord analyzer.
Yeah,
Chao, can
let me
you
just
jump on the screen?
quickly jump in and briefly comment, because sort of what does this decentralized memory organ mean? Why did we place that bounty? And that's, well, we need a reliable and decentralized system to manage the information of the protocol. And it's generalized, meaning like it can be extended with whatever information, meaning any information that either directly or indirectly relates to the protocol, everything that exists off-chain within the community. And if we store all of that information in like a reliable manner, then we can keep referring back to it, we can keep analyzing it, and it kind of creates a information processing ecosystem around it. And once we added the recursive emission delegation, then we can actually create incentive mechanisms for agents to be like continuously scraping, to be continuously processing, and then further we can even like create other systems that interpret the information to come up with actions. For example, like detect some issue and then trigger some response to it. And it also actually creates a pretty interesting dynamic where, well, the torus viewed as this organism is going to remember. It might not understand yet, but if you contribute right now, or if you work against it, the way you interact with it, that information is now here. And depending on how the network evolves over the next years, it might retrospectively reward or penalize, meaning, well, there could actually be a quite large benefit to now contributing, just based on this uncertainty of how the network evolves, because theoretically it can become arbitrarily powerful. Yeah, that's yeah. Every organism needs a memory. Okay, go ahead, Chao.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so what we did was we made a Discord bot, and the prompt was to analyze community insights. So we're very new to this. All three of us are first years at Oxford studying math and computer science. And so we tried to do something a bit simple. So we first started off with a Discord bot that would count the occurrence of each word, and then we used that to identify the top topics throughout the last week or so. But we quickly realized that there would be a problem with that, because some topics are not just a single word, like computational maths, for example, or like classical music. So what we did was we spent pretty much the entirety of the hackathon trying to come up with this bigram thing, which would count the occurrence of two words together, and then also identify if those words could come independently, or if they were like actually meant something together. And so we got rid of a lot of we identified those words, getting rid of all of the stop words and getting rid of all of the like noise. So that's what made our bot unique. And so we can't really show the bot right now because the free trial for the database has ended, but if you're more interested, I did send a link, the YouTube link, in the chat. And then our bot also gives you like the top contributors for the last week in terms of message count, and also if their message gets reacted to, it increases the value of their contribution a lot. So I believe it's +3 per reaction, +1 per message. And then there's a lot more ways you could expand this, like number of minutes spent in a Discord call, or number of messages replied to. And then beyond that, we also have like implemented correctly, we can have like a website that displays all of the analytics from the last year, or sorry, from the last week or month, depending on what you choose. And then it shows you like a pie chart of all of the top topics, and like their proportions, which is in the YouTube video. And it also shows you like the number of active users per day for the last week or month. So it really depends on, it's very customizable. It depends on what you, the user, wants. And I think there's room for development in the future if we keep doing this. So yeah, that's as much as I can say, because I can't actually present the project. But if like to see a tangible representation of what I was just talking about, the YouTube video is a very good resource.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And anyone has questions for Chao? Is there something on the chat? If not, we can keep on the same project. if there's nothing, we keep on the same topic of Discord, and then we can go to the guys from Hivemind. So Chow, Chow was the team, the second winning team. We just prioritized them for this topic, and then Hivemind. If you guys have you guys raised your hands from Hivemind? I saw you. Okay, damp grass right there.
Right.
Harassing them.
How's it going, you guys?
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Okay,
Excellent.
cool. So we're from Hivemind. We got first place in this category, and I'm just gonna take you guys through the pitch deck. We'll knock it out. So let's do this thing. Share screen. Make selection. What is
Oh, yeah, just do all.
Let's just do all. Okay, cool. Let me know if you guys can see what's going on here.
We can, yes.
All right, awesome. So, yeah, pretty much we talked to Oliver quite a bit and then knocked out this quick, basically a self bot that logs in and authenticates as a user to get insights. So, the three use cases that you guys were mainly mentioning were that you wanted to find collaboration opportunities with Eliza. So we just basically can track their updates channel, summarizing user feedback by just scraping all the support tickets, and the LLM will spit out basically what's going on with that. Or also competitor analysis. If you guys want to do that, you can just scrape the announcements channel of your competitors, and then again, like the LLM can summarize that for you. So moving on, this is basically the architecture we used. So since bots like have pretty limited functionality with Discord API and TOS and stuff like that, we just authenticate as a user, like I was saying, and then you can basically do the CAPTCHAs to join whatever server you actually want to scrape. And then once you're in there, all you gotta do is run the bot, and it will scrape the desired channel, put all the messages into a JSON, feed it into the LLM, which you can sub in actually any model. We were using GPT-4, but yeah, then it'll spit out this dashboard. So just to show you what the output looks like when we scraped general chat of Taurus, this is just what the entire dashboard looks like, and it runs on localhost. Essentially, if we look
can't
at
see the slides anymore.
how did it go away?
Strange.
See this again. You see it now?
No.
Anyways, I can just talk through it. So pretty much the deal is on the top, we got the hot topics. That was like the rectangle you saw up there. Basically 1, 2, 3 just tells you what is everybody talking about, right? So for the general chat, it was just saying like everyone was coming up for ideas for building agents, because obviously we ran this like during the hackathon. People were asking for technical assistance about specific things. And there was also some announcements about the events. Next thing, we have the top 10 most active users. That's just a bar graph, and it shows their stats. Next, for the most influential members, we have a mentions pie chart, where it basically just shows who's been mentioned the most, and you can see their user ID again. We also have a graph for activity over time. So for competitors, you can kind of see like industry trends for who's popping off at what time. And then lastly, for content analysis, we just have the top 10 keywords, so you can see what everybody's talking about, what's trending right now. And pretty much it's anything you could need as far as market research goes, and just keeping track of what's going on, because you can run this on as many servers as you want, scrape the entire channel as long as your AI is strong enough. And yeah, so that's what we got for you.
Really exciting. Thank you very much, guys, for doing it. You also again, we'll do a separate call for that. But do you wanna you have submitted, I think, a grant application as well? Do you wanna do you have a couple of things in can you give us a teaser of what you're thinking? You can build on top of that, for an actual bigger scale project. Again, 1 million percent.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was thinking is right now, like I said, we're powered by GPT-4. We probably got to beef it up a little bit, because initially when I was trying to scrape chats that were really long history, if I tried to obviously send too many requests per minute, it was like rate limiting me. So we might want to use a different, more powerful model. We could also try a cheaper one, but just kind of like messing around with that. In terms of scalability specifically, we might change the front end a little bit because right now we're just running on localhost. But we'll talk to you guys to see kind of like what works best. But honestly, like as it is right now, we're mostly straight. I mean, the product works and it's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. And is
Yeah,
there any
a
questions?
lot of the relevant information landscape is actually scattered across Discord servers more and more, especially more of the sort of in the trenches development and the sort of on the fly community discussions. So I think this is actually extremely relevant to sort of have a, I guess, sensory organ, like have your informational tentacles spread everywhere and sort of funnel it to one centralized place where we can sort of interpret it. So I think that is something sort of as a tool that most sort of agent projects should have. Yeah, very excited to use that myself to sort of keep track of things.
Excellent, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So should we go from Discord back to Twitter again? Is like, do we have the team from Oxford Kaggle debaters? I'm not entirely sure. Like, can you raise your hands if you're here or still here? Yes, cause right there.
Is that our video?
Hello, can you hear us?
Oh yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Cool. His video.
Nice.
Great. Hello, all three of us here.
Still the
Good to see you.
Yep, still here in Oxford. Great. Oh, I might share my screen to show the video. Just a second.
Can you give us the background of the team? I mean, we obviously know, but like, you know, for the community, what the three, like, you know, the three of you, what we've been working on.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, you should be able to see this now. Yeah, so the three of us are part of a Kaggle club here in Oxford, and then we do machine learning competitions and things like that, data analytics mostly. So we thought we'd give the Twitter competition a go. So yeah, so we developed a website here, which can you see this full screen? Is this showing up properly?
I can see it. Yes.
Okay, well, we'll just put it like this. So yeah, we developed a little a website using Streamlit, where you're able to view a variety of data, which we scrape from Twitter using the Twitter API. And so, for example, here you can ask you can type in a viewpoint that you might have, and you can scrape the daily Twitter. So this will convert your we use an LLM to convert your text here into search keywords, which will then search the API. And then it will retrieve a bunch of tweets, give you an overall perspective on the state of your viewpoint based on positive and negative tweets on this topic. So yeah, and then it kind of shows the tweets below. Some of the other features we had included showing the top tweets from the last month, as well as some of the top influencers, and we rank them based on what we calculate an influence score metric, based on how they've been posting and how many of their posts made it to the kind of top tweets metric as well. And then our major innovation with this is these next two sections. So we wanted to not only view the state of an argument, but also to be able to debate it. So here we are able to type in a topic and enter a style of response and the spiciness level, and then the LLM is going to generate a tweet. And then we have for this demonstration, just one bot, but in the future, this would be a network of bots who are able to weigh in on these conversations and debates on Twitter by using the LLMs to produce them text, which they then tweet. Yeah, so you can tweet about a topic, or you can directly target an influencer. So you can select an influencer in this box here, select one of their tweets, and then reply to that tweet. So yeah, that's a quick summary of our bot that we created.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there any questions for the team?
Or would you guys like to speak more about some of the agent ideas you had to register on the network? I know at the event we talked. You don't have to give away too much about the source, but you had some interesting ideas, definitely.
Yeah, so one of the parts that I was working on a lot that I was hoping to integrate, but unfortunately we ran out of time and weren't able to, was computing a credibility score for our top users, which would essentially take their variety of tweets that they've been posting and then determine the sentiment within those tweets regarding various different coins, and then use that and compare it to live data on those coins at the time that they were posting to determine essentially how right they were with their predictions. So if they were really positive on Bitcoin and then Bitcoin went up, then that it would convert to a positive effect on their credibility score. And then we wanted to use that both within the summary, just to provide a bit more insight into whether what people were actually saying was worth listening to at all. But then on top of that, we could also use it within our Twitter bot as well, so that it might treat people with low credibility in a more sort of shit posting way, I suppose, and it would be maybe more positive towards people that have higher credibility. So we were hoping to use that in a variety of ways, but unfortunately we got it working, but didn't actually get it integrated in time.
That would be really useful, because there's a lot of low quality information on Twitter. So that'd be amazing when you guys integrate it.
Yeah.
Any other question?
Yep, that's very cool. And the like the debater aspect of it, which was sort of unprompted, I thought was pretty cool.
Great, thanks. Thanks for your support over the weekend as well.
Yeah.
I have a question, if possible, just quickly. It was to do with the credibility scoring, which is obviously when that system is first implemented, everybody's effectively going to have a score of 0, right? Are you guys going to be backdating some form of score for that, or are you just going to plan to implement it for a short period of time to start building those credibility scores before it becomes publicly visible, or is there a plan surrounding that?
So when I was working on it over the weekend, I was able to use historical data to create backdated credibility scores. So in theory, that could be something that you could do. My initial thoughts when we were trying to get it integrated was that we could, every time our summary algorithm brought up a particular name in the summary, it would then go and check through that particular account's history and then generate a credibility score for them at that point in time, so that we wouldn't have to go back through and do it for every single account on the entire platform, but just do it as and when they come up within the summaries. And then that would then get updated as they go, day by day. If they come up again, it would quickly check on their new tweets and update their credibility score as a result.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. And it's good to see you.
See you.
Excellent. Okay, so shall we go back to the memory organ now? Is Aaron here? Yeah, I can see Aaron. Aaron, can you jump on the stage and present us your project?
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
The stage is yours.
My name is Aaron, and I'm a second-year computing student at Imperial College London. And yeah, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. So my application is built off two components. One is the API backend, and I also made a simple UI in order to interact with this API. So I'm running both the front end and the API backend at the moment. I can connect my wallet, select a network, and
Right, Aaron, I can only see
Something
the
is
Discord.
weird.
Yeah.
We just see your Discord.
Okay. Can you now see?
Yes,
Can you see the code as well?
we can see the code. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this is the UI. I can connect my wallet using any wallet connection provider, and then perform operations like create a piece of data, read data, update and delete. And I can view all of the records that exist inside the distributed database. So I can create a piece of data and then sign a message that says I own this wallet address, and I can see that my request was successful and it was added to the database. I can then see that piece of record added, and then I can then update it. I need to sign again, and then I added version logs. Version is 1 when it's created, 2 when it's updated, and then you can also delete that piece of data. On distributed databases, data is not deletable. So for example, on IPFS, if you add a piece of data, then it will be forever there existing. However, I implemented this using this deleted flag, and that will invalidate that piece of data on the distributed database. I've also added roles to my database. This is my wallet address, and I'm currently the admin. And as an admin, I can add anyone as a contributor who can create and read data in the database. Viewers can only read, and admins can update, delete, create, and read data. I've also implemented a local cache so that we have faster reads as the database grows. I've also implemented load balancing so that traffic is routed to different nodes which are still active, as you can see here. And I've created a Docker container so that users can easily spin up their own nodes. And yeah. That's it for this project. And I also had a couple of AI agent ideas. Would you like me to
Yes,
talk about
go for
that?
it. Yeah, go for it. Go.
Yep.
Yeah. Would be
So one of them was about a machine learning model that is trained on implied volatility data. We can easily retrieve implied volatility data using Uniswap liquidity that exists on Uniswap. And then, yeah, this AI agent would then predict the optimal tick range at any moment to provide liquidity in a specific Uniswap pool. I feel like this would be a cool project to work on and add it to the Taurus network.
That's definitely very interesting.
Yes, and that's also complementary with a perhaps in the future emerging DeFi form. So everything around like managing capital and DeFi and liquidity is definitely applicable towards that.
And
yeah,
in the beginning, it would just give you the range, right? It wouldn't have the wallet. It wouldn't have access to your wallet, right? It would just give you the range to, like, for your LP. That's your initial idea, right? Or would you like to have
for the MVP? For the MVP, yeah, it will be just giving you the optimal tick range. but afterwards, on like later stages, I can add implementation to manage the funds of users that give access, and yeah, it would be a really cool project.
We're very excited to see it. Thanks a lot, Aaron.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Aaron, or like we can go to the next thing? I mean, we can keep anything, any question that comes up, we can just post in the end. Aaron. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thank
So
you.
for next, like, let's keep on other really cool projects on the decentralized memory organ. And maybe Timo, can you say like one or two words on why we're asking different teams to build the same type of system?
Yeah,
Because that's
sure.
excellent.
So as we have seen, there is actually quite a bit of delta, like difference between approaches between the different teams, and sort of by setting these sort of high-level goals of what it should do, but not constraining how they can accomplish that, we get a lot of different creativity that probably for the final end project that remains sort of on the network and sort of is built out over months and grows into a large-scale project, is probably going to incorporate like many of the individual ideas that people had. So yeah, this way we just cover sort of a lot of space of like possible ideas and creativity, and yeah, that has worked.
Okay, perfect. Cheers. So like, are the guys from Torbit here? Like, just to keep on the same topic of the decentralized memory organ, just like I think I can see some of them. Can you just raise your hands? Yes. Okay. Yep. Yes. Let's go, Sam. And
Can you hear
hey,
us?
guys. We can.
Oh,
Stage
perfect.
yours.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Cool.
oh yeah, so we're from Torbit. My name's Niall, and this is Sam. I think Sam's going to talk you through most of it. So, yeah, I'm a master's student at University of Birmingham. I first met Sam at the hackathon. We worked together on this project. It was a really fun project. Learned so much about decentralized and distributed networks, and yeah, would love to continue working on it. And I think Sam will talk you through it more.
Yeah. So I'm Sam, second year computer science student at Cambridge. So I actually know Niall through some work we've been doing as an algorithmic trading startup, training a machine learning model for price prediction. But this is our first time meeting in person, this hackathon. And yeah, it was absolutely loads of fun. Our first Web3 project. But I'll start by sharing my screen. I can show you what we got up to. Probably, can you see the terminal there?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So we also used OrbitDB like the other guys did, and there were two scripts that we wrote basically. There's a creator and just a regular node. So initially you'd run creator.js, which initializes the database, and this will give you. We also implemented a command line interface to interact with each node. So the database is created, which initializes a database address, and using this database address and this connection string, then any other node which wants to connect to the database can. So for example, if I type con, then it generates a connection string for me, and in another terminal, or so this is on localhost, but this could also be any other device on the local network. They can connect to the same database remotely, and using list, you can see that the data in the database is the same. I'll walk you through the different functionalities we implemented in this command line interface. We understand that you wouldn't necessarily be using a command line interface because this is interacted with via agents, although it might be useful for the admin node to grant and revoke privileges, as you can see at the top, and it's also useful to show the functionality that we implemented. But yeah, here you can see all the functions and the necessary permissions. So there's some role-based access control. So if you join as a node, you just have read access by default, but the admin can grant and revoke different access privileges. Well, I'll quickly demonstrate some of the things that we implemented, like create. There's a test.json file in there in the repository that you can't see, but you can see the data in it when we create a new list, and you can see that it's in the database, and if you list on the node, you can see it's been updated as well. And then we've also got query where name equals Bob, or query where the age is 19. And then using these IDs, we can do deletes also. Maybe a list, you can see that that entry is now gone. But a key feature here is that if the node that is connected tries to do something outside of its privileges, such as create, you can see create requires the right privilege. If it tries to create without its privileges, then it will run into errors. So instead, what we need to do is it needs to share its ID with an admin node who can grant right privileges. And you can see that that's happened because of this capabilities table, which is publicly available. So you can see that capabilities is a read functionality. So everyone can see the capabilities table, but updating the capabilities table is requires admin privileges. And the way this works is if a node wants to make an update to the database, they will sign their attempted transaction with their private key. And these IDs in the capabilities table are the public keys. So other nodes can validate who's tried to make each transaction, and then they can cross-reference with the capabilities table, which is stored on the key store and the blockchain. They can cross-reference whether each node trying to do something on the blockchain has the appropriate right to do so. But yeah, so you can see I've just granted right access. So now we do this again, then it will allow me to create on this node. I think that's most of the functionality we implemented. We also implemented a class that agents could use, just a class you can import, and then you create a memory object, and then you can call memory.fetch or memory.update. And then we created a small front end just to basically do what we've done here in the command line interface, but that did end up breaking last second, unfortunately. But that could be easily fixed. And in terms of improvements from here, this is currently just on localhost, so both these terminals are on my computer. It currently works. If you're on the same local network, you can do this via 2 terminals on different computers. However, of course, it needs to be not constrained to local network, so that would be the next main step. And in terms of other steps, it would be creating relational database on top of this. And another idea is to have a node that can connect via these scripts we've made, but offer additional functionality on top of the database, such as RAG. You could have a node which is like a data access point, and then other agents can interact with this data access point agent and
interact via natural language with the memory organ, which we thought would be a cool idea. But yeah, so I think that's it from me. Unless there are any questions.
Excellent. Is there any questions? Or like, should we go to the next thing? Well, if not, thank you very much, guys. You can always post the questions in the end. So like, do we have the Boris Torres team here? Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Yep, thanks.
I cannot see them. So I don't see any hands, so we can skip it if they're not here. And should we go to the I think NewScript is here, right? So the wildcard, just change, and then we can go back to back to Discord and Twitter. Is Alex here from NewScript? Okay, there.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I
we can.
will. I'll try and share my screen. Can you see that?
We can, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So, basically, our submission is I'm Giza. I'm here representing NewScript. Alex unfortunately can't be here today. We started making a submission for the Twitter debate summary, but I think we added in a few extra features and then eventually ended up winning the wildcard category. So I'll try and present a bit of a mix of what our vision was for the both the Twitter bot and our special editions for the other categories. So we, like I mentioned, we set out to make a Twitter bot. The idea was that we want to add in a forum style technology that is to allow users to also discuss further about these debates on the website. So our summaries served only as the beginning, and we wanted to add focused debating on our platform. And this really became the center of our vision. Instead of allowing certain accounts to dominate, we wanted there to be this forum feature, like you can see on the right-hand side, where users are free to discuss all of these topics and debates and issues. So I'll take a step back first to explain how we generated these summaries that you can see here, and then we'll talk more about this forum and all of the clever stuff that goes into making that happen. So we used an agential AI system, which we hand-coded. So it's built upon OpenAI's technology, but we use a set of 24 agents performing 12 different roles, arranged in quite complex structures to help facilitate the best possible extraction of information and summaries about these debates. So virtually nothing is hard-coded. We start off with an API that gives us some current news, and then we feed this news and current affairs information into a first set of AI agents who have roles such as a political editor or a computer scientist or an investment analyst. Even the roles themselves are determined by another AI whose job is the research coordinator to basically lead this group. And they all analyze and write up their opinions about the news. And this then goes to a report writer who passes the synthesized version of all of these analyses into a Twitter topic generator or a set of topic generators. So for each topic that we came up with based on the news articles that we looked at, each current debate that we thought might be happening, we have some AIs who in turn request certain keywords to be searched on Twitter, look at the responses, and then based on that make further searches that they think should be needed. And then eventually we feed this into an adversarial network. That is where we have two bots basically debating against each other with a debate moderator bot there to help out. And basically they're trying to convince this journalist bot that their side is correct. And so the journalist bot's role is basically to eventually write up a play-by-play of how this debate went down, and that's how we generate the summary that you then see. There's more to it than this. So we wanted to also add in this element of the forum, like I mentioned. We took inspiration from the origin of the forum as the town square, really, where people are all free to stand up and speak regardless of their background, and you don't need to have a big name necessarily. And one idea that we came across here was tackling the issue of bots. So obviously forums like Twitter are rife with bots, and it's very hard to solve this issue. We could have users solving a captcha every time they want to post or something like that, but to be honest, captchas don't really work nowadays, and users find them annoying. So we wanted to add in something special, and we call this our human handshake technology. So what this means is we've basically changed how authentication works. We've made it so that when you log in, instead of a username, you need to log in with your face. You cannot use the same image of your face or a very similar version of it multiple times. And you have to present yourself and present your liveness every single time you wish to log in. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do we do this without completely violating your privacy? Well, we use locality-sensitive hashing on an extracted feature set of your face, which we've made a custom cryptographic implementation for. And we then hash this using your password and various other salts to prevent reverse filtering. And so we have certain variables that we can adjust to balance the efficacy of this system with its reliability. And we also use a combination of models in order to enhance the user experience. So that means that you can basically see whether your face is correctly aligned and how likely the login is to work on any given attempt. We've also integrated translation services. So obviously, browsers have Google Translate and stuff built in, but we thought that if we implement our own I18N, then this will mean that we can we're using basically an AI to translate all user-generated content and all AI-generated content, which therefore means that users will have the best possible translation because we provide our AI bots with the context of what it is they're translating. So here's an example of some user-generated comments which our system has automatically translated into idiomatic French. So like I mentioned, our data comes from News API, and we feed this into our agential research system. And our vision basically is to simulate the journalistic process with agentic AI, and then to combine this with our state-of-the-art new cryptographic technology to make sure that our forum and our debate platform is completely free of bots and free, only real humans are able to partake in the conversation. That's it for new script, I think. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if you'd like, we can go into a little bit of ideas that we've got for where to take this further with the grants.
Yeah, go ahead with the ideas, and then we can
yeah, so we're really keen on this idea of new ways to approach bot prevention. And it's not just bot prevention, but also spam. So this system is best at preventing, completely automated bots from doing certain things. But another issue on public forums is spam. And that can be generated by humans literally sitting behind computers who very much have livenesses. But conventional filters aren't necessarily always able to prevent these. So one idea that we have is to use adversarial networks, similar to the ones that we use in our debate analyzer, to create basically a generative adversarial network that tries to evade its own spam filtering technology, and thereby create spam filtering technology and also liveness checking technology that improves over time and is better than any hard-coded conventional approach. So we'd like to combine this with our human handshake technology to create a platform that users can integrate into their own products as basically an OAuth provider or some kind of protocol, and thereby have the state of the art liveness checking and spam protection technology. Obviously, our liveness checking does exist, but every other product ships off that biometric data to some third-party provider. We're unique in that we ensure that no biometric data actually makes it off the device, unless if it's encrypted in such a way that it cannot be recovered by any third party. And so we think that we'd make quite an attractive sort of protocol that others could use, especially if we combine this with this new spam protection technology using generative adversarial networks.
Perfect. Is there any questions right now for Giza? Like again, questions can also be asked later on, but I'm also getting increasingly conscious of time.
I have a quick one. You said that the data itself was stored on the device and was never making it off the device unless it was encrypted sufficiently. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay, but it does still have to store previous versions of the data. And then is there anything in place that protects the data in the event that the device becomes compromised, or?
Well, it's never stored on the device either. So all I meant by that was it's not a system like local caching or anything. Rather, it's that as soon as what I meant by that is all of the data is encrypted client side. So as soon as the face is scanned on the client side, we apply all these facial recognition algorithms. So we use very, very compact models to make it something that your phone can do in your phone browser in a couple of milliseconds, but still be sufficiently encrypted that it will never be recoverable from that form. The reason that's significant is because some locality sensitive hashes have problems of slight leakages. So for instance, from bloom filters, if we use a conventional bloom filter, you could probably recover very basic details with some brute forcing, not to the level of entirely, stealing your identity, but maybe being able to distinguish race or something. But because we apply these layers of hashing and salting, it means that by the time any of this data is transmitted off your device, all of that, any possible data leakage is already sufficiently sort of hashed and randomized away.
Okay, but it did have to store something in order to ensure that each picture was sufficiently deviated from the previous ones. So does it correlate in some form?
That at the moment that is something that we can work on in the future. At the moment, that's quite a simple check. So all we do is we take the raw image, we basically make a quite a primitive hash of that, but we do that for various different segments of the image, which means that if very simple transformations like rotation or translation are applied, if you basically just use different crops of the image each time, then certain segments of it will match. But that's based on basically just the equivalent of blurring the image and hashing various different resolution copies of it so that we can compare it later on. But we're not actually storing any proper details to do with the face or even facial vectors for that step.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, I think
how are you
this
detecting the
point-
liveness? Like,
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
yeah, like could someone? How are you detecting the liveness? Because they are increasingly realistic, like I don't know, sex dolls or someone that someone could use to try to log in as a human. If I don't know, have you tested it with those?
So
or like how are you?
I think obviously because this is obviously because we made this quite quickly in a hackathon, it's not we don't necessarily account for every edge case, but this is something that we'd definitely like to explore further when we apply for the grant. Currently, the way we're doing it is simply checking if the image that you present is actually moving. That's all done on the client side. So we need to make sure that your face is moving, and if so, then we extract the proof of that movement and send that to the server by basically just having different variants of the same facial vector. But trying to implement more advanced forms of liveness detection where, for instance, we prompt the user to say a certain phrase or move in a certain way, and trying to create locality sensitive hashing functions that are able to work with that as well would be something that we'd be interested in looking into. So maybe instead of just using your face to log in, every time you log in, we ask you to say a random word. And then maybe we could even check if the voice lines up between different clips, or if your mouth movements line up. Those would all be things that we believe we're capable of doing with like I said, the new cryptographic function that we created for this implementation. But we just need more time and more
very
data sets.
interesting. It's definitely good that you guys are working on doing something like this more locally and privacy protecting. I also really like the idea of automating the journalistic process with like a swarm of agents, and especially considering that there's like this phrase that Elon Musk used, that you are the media now. Like everyone on Twitter or X is now part of the media, and someone has to distill all these tweets into news articles, for example, in a general sense. Like I think in the future more news will be sourced from people directly, and agents can be part of that.
Yeah. I mean, this is based on some research that we saw from Stanford on how synthesizing different AIs, which are given different roles and different tasks, allows for a vastly more in-depth analysis than simply just asking ChatGPT to read through some tweets. So we tried to implement this in our own stack with like I said, 12 different personalities of bots, and combined in this model. But maybe exploring how even though our AIs are fed new information each time, trying to make a meta AI that can construct different architectures of agents as well on the fly might be something that would be worth exploring further. So trying to generalize it even more.
Yeah, that's definitely very interesting.
For example, in the ELIZA.
Go ahead.
In the ELIZA agent framework, they have this one other repo where you can clone a Twitter user as an agent, basically. It fetches all their tweets and constructs a personality description or certain attributes, and so you can use that, like you can clone different personalities from their Twitter and use them as journalistic agents theoretically.
Yeah, we could even we could simulate the debates directly. I mean, the approach we took here was we wanted to balance having the most authentic debate summaries necessarily, so the ones that align most closely with what's going on in Twitter, with having the most useful website, insofar as if there's some misinformation being spread or something like that, then we want some layer of objectivity to our AIs to point that out or spot that and compare it to the facts. So we tried to strike a balance there. But in theory, we could have made the debate stage, at the end of it, have the adversarial agents take on the roles of specific Twitter users, rather than just debaters who are fed information from Twitter, but are also allowed to use their own knowledge. So we can play around more with that to see how that affects the ultimate reports.
Excellent. Timo, do you want to jump on? You were trying to say something.
Yes, I actually do think that also the system is applicable to Taurus, not in its current form, but later, where we basically have like emergent issues that need to be resolved, so we can like quickly orchestrate a set of agents, or also maybe for some things only humans, to sort of have a dialectic on arriving at a solution, making sense of something. So sort of quickly assembling a group of experts, resolving an issue, coming to like reaching a consensus on an answer, and sort of submitting it.
Definitely,
so I
yeah.
think that
The
this is,
Stanford paper
yeah.
also the Stanford paper also talks about ways that we can create these agential discussions through sort of roundtables where there are humans involved and these agents involved. So it might be interesting to look into how we can incorporate that into our system as well, because our system is obviously 100% AI right now, but allowing humans into the mix is something that is written about in the paper, so could be quite fun to look into.
Definitely. By the way, I also love your aesthetic on the presentation. That very much
Thank
aligns
you.
with our taste. So you plan to sort of on your own keep working on this project independently?
Yeah, definitely, and also I guess most importantly to try and generalize some of the tech. So take it from just being a single website with sort of a monorepo to having the authentication system be something that we can export and use as an OAuth provider or even just as a generalized protocol, and also how reutilize this agential setup and all the frameworks that we built up in our code base around that over the course of the hackathon to make that something that can be published and reused by people in applications like you were talking about.
Yep, we'll very keenly follow your progress, and I think sort of that's inevitably going to be a convergence where we can definitely make use of it. So yeah,
That's great.
Do you have maybe
Thank you.
like where should we look to sort of stay in touch on your development?
I mean, I'll send you a message now, I think,
Mhm.
if that works, and then
Yeah, sure, works.
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, we did have like a lot more submissions, but do we have anyone from debate chain maybe? I cannot. Oh, okay. Perfect. EH. I cannot. Hey.
Hey.
You're muted if you're trying to speak. Oh, that's fine. You can take 1 second. Did you manage with the mic?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Okay, great.
The stage is yours.
Let me just see how. Okay. Let
Maybe
me
you
share
can
my.
introduce yourself and the rest of
Yes,
the
we
team
can.
because it was several of you building, right?
Yes. So hi,
Excellent.
I'm Emily from Debate Chain, and I was working with Thomas and Shuchi, and we just met at the Eth Ox Project Hackathon, and decided to form a team. And how do I share my screen? Is screen shared?
It's coming through. I don't see it yet, but it's coming through. Anyone else can see it because we've had this issue before. Just let us know.
You see it now?
It's still trying to come through,
Yes.
but I don't see it. You see it, Oliver?
I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then go ahead, please.
Okay, great. So we're Debate Chain, and we were working on the crypto Twitter debate analyzer, and we got third on the bounty. And so in terms of the background of this project, it's hard to tell who to trust in terms of crypto. And so if we want it, the idea would be it would be great if we can, I guess, find what's trending on Twitter in terms of crypto and be able to have like a mini summary of it so that we know if we want to invest in it or if we want to sell, whatever. And so in terms of the 4 stages that we went through for this project, we did data collection, sentiment analysis, scoring algorithm, and then debate summaries. And so for our data collection, we used the Taurus agent. And so we chose 5 tickers: Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, XRP, and Taurus. And for each of these tickers, we use the API to find I think top 20 tweets per every day in 2024, I think. And when we were searching for these ticker, we made sure to exclude the word send, or tweets including the word send, address, and receive, because they tended to be like spammy, or like tweets that would usually be like, oh, retweet this a post and I'll send you a Bitcoin or whatever. So we decided to make sure to exclude that. And then after data collection was done, we went to sentiment analysis, where we tried to find the ticker that the tweet talks about, and find the sentiment associated with the ticker, and if they say that they predict what's it called, the Bitcoin or whatever goes up, and if we see that that matches what happened in history in terms of stock market, then that's obviously a good sign. Whereas if they said, oh, I think blah 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 would go up, but then the stock market did the other thing, then that would be bad. So we did that analysis. And then for scoring, we tried to find top 5 influential users for crypto Twitter, and we consider that good tweet provokes meaningful debate, has good engagement from community, predicts the market correctly, and is from a reputable source. And so we made this thing called reputation score, where it came from engagement score, which is just how many replies or like how many retweets they got, and the accuracy is what I talked about in the sentiment analysis part, and the debate is just how if like the replies of a tweet has opposite sentiment to what the initial person tweeted. And so we ranked all the users we collected and had a reputation score and got top 5 users. And we were planning that if this were to become like a product, we'd probably be updating this, I don't know, every night at midnight or something, so that we would be getting new 5 top users. And we, I think, implemented like a logarithmic scale or something, so that even if a user was really, really, I guess, great, like 2 years ago, if they stopped tweeting or something, they likely wouldn't be on our top 5. And then what we would do is we would summarize the top 5 latest tweets from top users. So using the 5 top users we found, we'd track, or like we'd be looking at their latest posts because we thought that would be most likely to, I guess, give us analysis or give us predictions that we might want to trust. And so that was just using LLM. This is just an example of tweet summary. But yeah, we would do this with the top 5 users. And yeah, that's it, I guess. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Omni Labs provide tutorials, podcasts, and AI crypto news for free. Please help us to keep helping you by weighting your stake to our agent. Thanks. See you next time.